Meanwhile, we're getting an update on the Ahmaud Arbery investigation. The former district attorney of Brunswick, Georgia, has now been indicted for misconduct in connections to her actions surrounding the case. Arbery was jogging when three men confronted him and chased him down in a subdivision in Brunswick, Georgia. Gregory McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan were indicted on federal hate crime charges earlier this year in connection with Arbery's death back in 2020. Police did not charge any of them immediately following the shooting. After Arbery was shot, Gregory McMichael called the former district attorney, his old boss of Brunswick, Jackie Johnson.
Jackie, this is Greg. Can you call me as soon as you possibly can? My son and I have been involved in a shooting, and I need some advice right away. If you can please call me as soon as you possibly can. Thanks. Bye.
Now, a record of Gregory McMichael's cell phone calls does not show that Johnson, the DA at the time, actually called him back. According to a release from Georgia's Attorney General, the former Brunswick DA, Jackie Johnson, has been indicted on 2 charges: violation of oath of a public officer and obstruction of a police officer. Johnson is also accused of violating her district attorney oath by, quote, showing favor and affection to Greg McMichael during the investigation. The attorney for the Ahmaud Arbery family had this reaction to the indictment.
I was surprised because it's unprecedented. I've never seen a prosecutor who failed to bring charges, who helped actively participate in the cover-up of misconduct, indicted criminally themselves. What this means for us, first, is a signaling to other prosecutors that if they are not forthcoming with the evidence, if they somehow participate or put their finger on the scale of justice, that they can face consequences themselves.
That's Lee Merritt. A state trial for the 3 suspects is scheduled to start in mid-October. Here is a look now back at some of the other phone calls that Gregory McMichael made after Ahmaud Arbery's death in 2020.
I have been filleted and laid out as a sacrificial lamb. It's all political.
That is Greg McMichael talking to his brother on a recorded jailhouse call.
This narrative that we just shot a black kid for running through a white neighborhood is absolutely.
Defense attorneys want all of Greg and Travis McMichael's jailhouse conversations with family and friends excluded from trial, saying it would violate their due process rights.
You've heard the old saying, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's it. That's a shining example right there.
Yeah, that's right.
The defense says prosecutors will argue the good deed Greg McMichael had in mind was the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. But in a motion, they contend what Greg actually had in mind was the, quote, attempt to conduct a private person's arrest of Arbery, so police could investigate whether Arbery was responsible for a string of neighborhood burglaries. In a later call to his wife, Greg McMichael gets angry discussing his daughter's social media post, which showed a photo of Ahmaud Arbery's dead body.
She has got to stop.
She will.
Can get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
Make it disappear. Make it go away, because people
Yeah.
are accessing it. If not, it's liable to really screw us up.
That phone call was brought up by the prosecution at the McMichael's bond hearing.
We had talked about the social media post by your daughter, Lindsay. That post was actually made with a picture of the crime scene while she was under your roof. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay. This becomes significant because of some of the cross-examination of Lee McMichael regarding jail calls that are captured regarding Greg McMichael actively attempting to obstruct the investigation of this case.
Many of the phone calls that Travis McMichael makes in jail are to his friend Zach, who also testified on the McMichael's behalf during the bond hearing.
Are y'all close? You and Travis?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
Okay. How close would you say that you are?
He's my best friend.
On the phone, Travis tells his friend what matters most to him.
So I'm just praying that I get a bond, where I can get out of here and raise my boy and really be able to put a
Nose to the grindstone.
Travis and his mother talk about how big the case has become and what lies ahead.
This is going to be a trial with the TV station, with OJ, like an OJ Simpson trial.
Oh my God.
But that's a good thing because they're going to see facts that's not there, that they haven't seen.
What it boils down to is 12 people going to decide what's what.
Right, well, exactly.
It'll be a long process, though.
All right, let's bring back criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Josh, let's first talk about your reaction to Jackie Johnson, the DA, being indicted. This just does not happen.
Well, as a civil rights practitioner and criminal defense attorney, I'm thrilled. I love it when the state is going to go inquire within charge and pursue one of our watchers when they didn't do their job right. I think that's an important factor in responsible government. However, there's a giant question right now. This news broke last night, and as I get up this morning talking with other local lawyers in the community, now the question is whether these indictments brought by the elected Attorney General of Georgia, Mr. Carr, whether these are really the most effective indictments to prosecute, or is this some sort of political sandbagging, which is an issue that we've been dealing with here recently in our nation with when we go and prosecute police officers, other members of public agencies, public officials. Are the prosecutors going after those people with the same gusto that they would go up against a regular citizen or a business person or an alleged criminal? Or are they taking an easy way out? If the state doesn't charge you properly, if they don't come against you in the same way they would come against someone else in your community, isn't that a form of favoritism? Isn't that something that needs to be examined? So there is a legitimate worry among many people in Georgia that this prosecution isn't fully legitimate and that is partially for show, and that this is a political football that is flaming hot, nuclear hot, and it's going to burn everyone's hands that touches it. So the Attorney General is stepping back and saying, all right, how am I going to handle this? It's going to be fascinating.
Fascinating indeed. Here's Lee Merritt, the attorney representing the family of Ahmaud Arbery. We heard from him before. Here he's talking more specifics about Jackie Johnson.
With regard to Jackie Johnson, what was presented to the grand jury was first evidence that Jackie Johnson had a relationship with Gregory McMichael, the father of the shooter, Travis McMichael, that immediately became involved in the case. The first phone call that Gregory McMichael made from the scene of the shooting was to Jackie Johnson saying, "I'm in trouble and I need help." And instead of opting out and saying that she had a conflict, she called the subsequent prosecutor, George Barnhill, and began to discuss and get his advice on the case before ultimately referring the case over to him without disclosing to anyone that she had referenced him for this case or that he too had a conflict concerning Gregory McMichael. And so the prosecution will show that she violated her oath of office, that Ahmaud Arbery and his family wasn't given a fair shake at justice from the beginning because she put her thumb in the scale by using relationships that she had developed over time.
Josh, this case was interesting in the aftermath of Ahmaud Arbery's shooting. No charges were filed until that viral video was released. When the general public saw what Ahmaud Arbery endured in the last moments of his life, that is when the outcry was through the roof. His family was asking for answers, first with Jackie Johnson, then George Barnhill, and then Barnhill would kick it down the road as well to a third DA in this case, and nobody wanted to press charges. They had seen the video. The video was offered up immediately. Roddy Bryant says, "I got it all on video." Greg McMichael says, "Roddy's got it all on video." So the investigators on the scene saw the video. The DA number 1 saw the video. DA number 2, Barnhill, sees the video. 3 sees the video. It's not until the public sees the video that anything is done. So this flaming hot football you're speaking of, is there a chance that it gets passed to another one of the individuals involved in the decision-making process during the time period before the public saw the viral video?
Oh, the investigation into this is not done by any means. Part of the superior prosecuting actions now being brought by the Attorney General's office it is going to be a review that is a little bit more independent than any review being done locally or on the scene. And that's part of the checks and balances. The question really gets back down to the age-old query of, if a tree falls in the woods and no one is there to hear it, did it really fall? Does anybody know or care? And that's what you just said. Until the public, the real arbiters, saw this horrific death, no one was going to do anything. So is it a murder until someone calls it a murder? That's a really tough question. And these are lifetime law enforcement members. These aren't people new to the game. If they're doing it here, how does that speak to the legitimacy of the rest of a criminal system that, face it, we've been struggling here for the last couple of decades. Our system's the best system in the world, but it is by no means perfect. It is an aspirational goal to do more and better justice. And holding the dispensers and arbiters of justice responsible, that is the goal we should all share in the criminal justice community. And that includes when people in charge, elected officials, insist on manipulating and molesting, because that's really what it is. It's molesting our process, making sure that our process is hurt and that it can't do its job. When they are molesting our process, that hurts everyone.
Yeah, well, regardless of the teeth of this, it is a monumental moment where, we've seen law enforcement members being held accountable. It is very rare that we see it go up the chain into the district attorney's office.